Hello everybody, my name is Brooklyn, otherwise known as TheDramaticOtaku, and welcome to my third installment of my queer manga recommendations. Now, I have done a lot of recommendations and a lot of them are re-recommendations. Same with this video, in fact, most of them are technically re-recommendations, or alternatively, they are also sequels that I was not aware of when I made those original recommendations. So, before we get into the content of today's video, let's do a little recap of all the queer manga that I have recommended in the last 2 years. Given, Hello Relationship, Thigh High, Go For It, Nakamura, Heartstopper, you knew this one was coming. Oran High School Host Club, Sailor Moon, Revolutionary Girl Uchena, now Dakoboku Sugar Days, My Love Mix-Up, Whisper Me a Love Song, I Think Our Son Is Gay, That Blue Sky Feeling, Nana, Boys Run the Riot, Claudine, Kanojo ni Naretai Kimi to Boku, Is Love the Answer, I Think Our Son Is Gay, The Sleeping Dead, Whisper Me a Love Song, How Do We Relationship, Yuri Espot, Rocket Girl, the guy she was interested wasn't a guy at all, and so we are back. Now, as I said, we have a lot of manga today, and majority of it is re-recommendations. Now, last year I did a system where I recommended by sort of sexuality, gender, that sort of stuff. I won't necessarily be doing that this year because of the amount of re-recommendations I have. So, we will be starting with not only series that I have fully read, series that I'm continuing to read, and basically the ones that I have stuck by the most. We're going to be starting with the series that I recently dug into and have reread multiple times because I had to get fucking screenshots for that video. My Love Mix-Up. Good, kind of boring gay shit. This is a comedy series, rom-com series. It deals with the characters of Aoki. He's in love with Ida. Well, technically he starts off being in love with this character here. Her name is Hashimoto. She's in love with who we think is Ida. Aoki is in love with her, and by the end of the volume, Aoki is in love with Ida. Ida thinks that Aoki is in love with him, which is technically correct. And as per the title, it's a big mix-up because Hashimoto doesn't actually like Ida. So, this volume is where that plot point sort of centralizes. Everything else is the love story of Aoki and Ida, with Hashimoto and her crush also being a B-plot, which isn't that great. Personally, for the actual queerness of it, it's very fun, very shoujo, very, frustrating at points, but genuinely is something that I highly recommend. It is one of the best BL series that I've read in a while in terms of, if you love shoujo like myself. Bit evident about how much I like shoujo. I say that, I refer to all my seinen figures. Bit evident to how much I like shoujo. I've got a stack of shoujo there. This is mostly shoujo stuff. This is a really good shoujo, and it just happens that they're gay. It's never actually specified the sexuality of Aoki and Ida. My personal opinion is that Aoki is probably bi because he has had attraction to both Ida and Hashimoto, but it's in a very fluid way. Obviously, sexuality is fluid, as is gender, but the way that I mean is usually when sexuality is portrayed in manga, it is very hardline. If I'm bisexual, I strictly like this gender and this gender for different reasons, that sort of stuff, whereas Aoki's a much more fluid character. It is just fluid in general. It's really hard to describe. I would just recommend it. It doesn't really talk about sexuality all that much. It is just a very normal shoujo romance that just happens to be gay. That is my recommendation for My Love Mix-Up. I tore it apart. Video is in the iCard. And watch it after this one. Anyway, moving forward is the series that I recently finished collecting. This being, I Think My Son Is Gay. Now, I have said hundreds of times that I've said 5 times, exactly 5 times, This, personally to me, is a good recommendation for allies who want to more so understand queerness. But it's also a good book to pick up if you're just starting to understand queerness yourself as well. the story is told from the mother's perspective of potentially gay Hiroki and actually queer Yuri. Now, it is pretty evident that Hiroki is gay. It is never overtly stated though, despite the fact that he keeps slipping up. He likes men. It's very clear. He's very easily clockable. Yuri, on the other hand, has a couple of different transformations in the book. At first, I clocked him as being potentially trans. That is not the case. In the end of the book, spoilers, he ends up trying to explore asexuality and all that sort of stuff. So it is fairly confirmed that Yuri is somewhat on the ace spectrum and Hiroki is gay. This series explores it really well from the perspective of a parent who is worried about their child, who is trying to learn more about queerness to help out her son, who is in the closet to try and make the world a safer place for him, or make her a safer person for him. Now, the father in this series is an asshole, but he does actually have a redemption arc in the 5th volume. The 5th volume recently released as of me recording this video. I believe it's on back order again now. I pre-ordered it and then it went on back order and then I got it, received it, and I've checked Booktopia and it went on back order again. By the time this video is up, it's probably fully released. But this series is really, really great. Personally, again, recommend it as like an ally kind of read, but also for queer people. It's just like weirdly cathartic in a way. It has a lot of good talking points and it's written by a gay man, so you can see his sort of perspective on the world and how people perceive queer people and what like his views are on the likes of BL and of and of how people interact with queer people, how people understand queer people, especially in the perspective of the father. The father says some really heinous shit and like the father says some really like close-minded things, and that is explored in the final volume. This is a very, very good series. I very much recommend it, especially if like you want to know a little bit more about queerness and stuff, or if you're a queer person. Again, I think this is a little bit cathartic in a weird way, because like I see a lot of my mum in this mum character, not quite the same, but I see a lot of her, especially in the 3rd volume. See a lot of her in it. 3rd volume, especially in the 5th volume, I see a lot of her in it. The good thing about this series as well is it's very short. These are all like little magazine size, so they're not as big as, say, My Love Mix-Up. Whisper Me Love Song. Okay, so this is one of my favorite Yuri series. I have at the moment got 7 volumes. I have not read volume 7 yet. This is not the final volume to my knowledge. I don't want to get spoiled. So the first 6 volumes, majority of the first volume is romance stuff, then it's like band drama, and then band drama mixes with the romance stuff. It is girlfriends being girlfriends and it starts off sort of with a I really like you, I love you in a fan sense, and I love you in a romantic sense, and then it escalates from there. This is a very cute series, very drama heavy. In terms of more so like band drama, similar to the likes of, not similar to the likes of My Love Mix-Up, it's more so like romance takes a back seat in this story, and I kind of like that, but there is still like very cute moments between Yori and Himari. At this point, you will also have seen I cosplayed Yori at Comic-Con this year. Absolutely fucking adore Yori. She is my favorite character, and I also really love Himari. It was gonna be one of those two. I prefer Yori because I just like, I feel so connected to her character. Honestly adore her, and this like series is like, I picked this up on a whim from memory, and it has become one of my favorite series of all time, especially because it is a very long, very popular Yuri series, and that's not to say that I don't have series that like I collect and that I read that the two main love interests are women. I do have How to Be a Relationship. I just like this one a lot more because it doesn't just go around the relationship aspect. It's just a generally like fun story, very drama heavy story where romance isn't solely the main focus, and there is a lot of like pairings, not just Himari and Yori. So that is my other re-recommendation, because I just like, I have 7 volumes of it. That is probably, other than My Love Mix-Up, the longest gay series that I am reading, and to my knowledge it is still ongoing. To my knowledge, I swear to God, if it's not ongoing after volume 7, I will cry. Now, that being said, the next 2 re-recommendations are actually sequels that I didn't know existed from previous recommendations. So, first one is Go For It Again, Nakamura. I believe this is turning into a short series. Go For It Again, Nakamura is based off of the very famous Go For It Again, Nakamura. The original Go For It Again, Nakamura became famous as a art trend where you would put your OTP in the like cover, and it became so like well known that the author did a second volume. This is from Seven Seas Entertainment, and I didn't like this as much as the original, to be quite honest. I kind of liked the fact that the original was very platonic at the end, how Nakamura and Hirose ended up just being friends at the end, and how like it was very up in the air and very like up to interpretation on if Hirose would eventually end up with Nakamura. I like that the what ifs of the first volume, so the second volume kind of came as a kick to the face that Nakamura was still trying to get Hirose, and I also really do not like the potential that Hirose has a crush on the teacher, and the teacher is potentially reciprocating in a little way to become a rival to Nakamura. And I know that the point is that it's supposed to be taken the wrong way, as the final chapter, Nakamura overhears Hirose and the teacher talking, and he's supposed to misunderstand them, but based on everything that's happened in the book, it feels like it's not so much a misunderstanding, and it really bothers me. Now, why am I recommending it then? I'm not really. I'm sort of just being like, hey, if you liked the first book, there is technically a sequel. So, I'm pretty sure there's going to be another one, if this one had decent reception. Yeah, I'm not too confident on it, just because I don't really like what is going on in this volume. But there is a second one. And speaking of sequels, Dekoboko Sugar Days got a sequel called Dekoboko Bittersweet Days. Now, I really love Dekoboko Sugar Days, which is the original story. Dekoboko Bittersweet Days, first of all, so many more horny scenes. The one thing I didn't like about Dekoboko Sugar Days was the horny scene at the end of the book. End of the book. It is a very cute BL up until that last scene. Dekoboko Bittersweet Days, less cute. Bigger volume, less cute. I also don't like that, like, I like seeing our main characters again. That's the biggest thing. I like seeing our main characters again, but they are graduating soon and they're talking about university and stuff, and they go down an Oran High School host club route in which this character is part French and is planning to go to a fashion school abroad. So he's part French, he goes to a fashion school in France, and stays with his family. In the end, they end up being engaged. Spoilers, but it's awfully similar to Oran, where Tamaki is French, and Haruhi has to prove herself to Tamaki's grandparents or something, and Haruhi then goes to study abroad. Eerily similar in that sense, just performed way worse. I really don't like sequels to BLs, because usually it's just to stir up drama between our two love interests, and I only picked this up because I love Dekoboko Sugar Days. And when I saw there was a sequel, I was like, are you fucking joking? My favorite BL, it is so adorable. And then I saw the amount of sex that's in it, and I am severely disappointed. Again, this is a whole thing of like, if you liked Dekkoboku Sugar Days, there is technically a sequel. And it is better in comparison to the Go For It Nakamura and Go For It Again Nakamura. But it exists. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it exists. It might be your cup of tea. I do find it funny that it is very similar to Ouran High School Host Club in its execution. And that is kind of partially why I'm recommending it. But I wouldn't run to get this. If you like the original, then sure, I maybe get it. But it kind of is just like a continuation of the series, and it isn't the best. Now, that being said, we move on to the actual recommendations. Now, I say that, actual recommendations, I struggled so much. And I wanted to have at least one gay recommendation. And it just happened to also be a BL sequel. Now, I did just say I don't like BL sequels, and I am correct. I don't like BL sequels. Technically, this is a sequel to a series called Old Fashioned Cupcake. I have not read that series. I only have the second one because BL does this annoying shit. And Tokyopop is also guilty of this by not putting a 2 next to the second book. So I thought this was going to be like a cute office romance, all that sort of stuff. And this year we're being messy. This year we are being messy with my recommendations. Because I didn't read a lot of gay shit. I reread My Love Mix-Up about 4 times. So Old Fashioned Cupcakes with Cappuccino. It had potential. I haven't read the first volume, so I can't actually recommend the first volume. This one, I guess if you've read the first volume, this is good. I thought it was a bit shit. So, that being said, I don't remember if I've suggested Dick Fight Island, but that's there too. I've read that. That exists. This also exists. So, this is the only gay book that I've read that's new that isn't I Think Our Son Is Gay, My Love Mix-Up, or either of these two fucks. So, thanks. Thank you. That is my speech for today. Let's get into an actual proper recommendation that I have, 2 actually, and it's not just because I'm holding 2 books. The Moon on a Rainy Night. Now, again, this is something that I just picked up in Dymix one day because I thought it looked good. I literally bought this book for a video, and then I ended up really liking the series. Now, the first volume is stunning. It's spectacular. I love it. It's gorgeous. Second volume is so far a little bit of a letdown, but I still am sticking with this series. I personally think Whisper Me a Love Song has better staying power, but the first volume of The Moon on a Rainy Night is honestly spectacular. So, The Moon on a Rainy Night, we have the characters of Kanon and Saki, and Kanon is deaf. So she struggles to make friends because she has people who struggle with her disability. Not her struggling, people struggle with her disability, and so she's become very cold to people in the past because she's been treated very awfully by people in the past. Saki is trying to open up Kanon to being more friends with people, and it's all very cute, and Saki has a big fat crush on Kanon. I like this series because Saki knows that she loves women. She's had crushes on women in the past, it's been inferred. Saki has a massive crush on Kanon, and it's not revealed until the final chapter of Volume 1. Volume 2, ooh, this gets messy. So you know how I said I didn't like the fact that Hirose is falling essentially for the teacher, or that's what it's inferred or looks like? Yeah, same thing happens in Volume 2. Now, I know it's explicitly stated that that is not the case, but I can't help think that way, because first volume, fucking spectacular. The romantic elements, so cute, so adorable. Second volume, I can't get into it because I think that Kanon has a fucking crush on the teacher. And it's so uncomfortable. This is a very cute lesbian series. that is the majority of my recommendation. I do have an actual proper review on the series. This, again, just a recommendation. If you want cute gay romance, this isn't immediately gay. It is very much slow burn, not as like immediately into it as Whisper Me a Love Song was. I just think the art style is spectacular. The fact that Kanon is deaf adds another layer to it, and not in a way that like necessarily fetishizes someone who has a disability. They actually tried to fight that like in the book, but obviously I am someone who is not deaf, so I can't really speak from that experience. I'm speaking it from this experience of someone who is completely able-bodied. I recommend this series because it's very cute, it's very gay, and the art style is absolutely fucking fantastic. This has the same vibes to me as One Dance, which is a series that I absolutely adore, so I couldn't recommend this highly enough, though the second volume was a massive letdown. I will say that much. And this is also a series that is very easy to damage in terms of covers. I believe there's 5 volumes coming out at the moment. I believe the 3rd volume is almost released, and there's like 2 more planned volumes ahead. I'm not 100% sure though. I will be continuing to collect this, much like Whisper Me a Love Song. Next recommendation, next recommendation is also a lesbian one. This one is actually a autobiography, and this is The Girl Can't Get a Girlfriend. This is based on this was originally a webcomic on Webtoon and was recently made into an actual serialization. I don't know if this will become an actual series or if this is a one-shot. Personally, The Girl Who Can't Get a Girlfriend I find personally relatable. I really love it. I love seeing the insights of authors and their experiences as queer people. It is something I would recommend if you want to like see the life of a lesbian in the form of manga. I think the mangaka is hilarious, and there is chapters available on Webtoon to read, so I would 100% recommend The Girl Who Can't Get a Girlfriend. It is an autobiography, so it's not like too drama heavy, it's not too like romantic and fluffy. It's very straight to the point, and I really do like it a lot. The author preaches a lot about self-love, especially in the end of the novel. And again, I don't know if this is going to be a full series or if this is just one volume. It seems like it's going to be a volume, but based of Webtoon and like the statement given by the mangaka, it seems like this might be an ongoing series, but I'm not sure if that's because of the fact that it was a Webtoon. So I'm not 100% sure, but I would definitely recommend it, especially because it is directly from a queer person. The next 2 are just general readings, and that is because they aren't necessarily queer, but have either a very heavy queer fan base or like have very heavy queer readings that queer people can relate to. Starting off, Ranma and One Half. This one, if you don't know, the main character of Ranma, he pretty much falls into a spring, and when he gets wet, kind of H2O style, he turns into a woman or has a female body. Obviously, he goes back and forth between being a man and woman, and gender. This is like, it's very hard to explain. It's very Rumiko Takahashi, obviously, much like Inuyasha, Urusei Yatsura, same sort of comedy style. If you like those, you will like this. I just picked this one for this video because the fact that Ranma can gender shift. I have only read the first volume, so obviously I can't speak for the entire series. I'm pretty sure there's like over 300 chapters or some shit, as there is with Inuyasha and Urusei Yatsura, so I won't necessarily be picking up all of the volumes immediately because I'm struggling to pick up Urusei Yatsura, and then I'm picking up Inuyasha, which are both massive stories in their own right. Let alone this, let alone the fact I'm trying to pick up Mao as well. Rumiko Takahashi has so many freaking stories. Oh my god. Gender. That's why I'm suggesting Ranma One Half. Next is the gayest straight romance that I've ever read, The Rose of Versailles. Now, obviously, from the beginning, the main character's name is Oscar de Jarge, and she is a woman, or born a woman, forced to live the life of a man by her father, who is pissed off by the fact that he got a 5th daughter. So immediately we have gender troubles. And we have the whole thing in, I believe, volume 4. Not volume 4, this is volume 4. In volume 3, where Oscar is torn apart because she has the heart of a woman, referring to the fact that she's very, very empathetic, but wants to live by the gender roles that she's been given as a man. Obviously, we have the gender stuff. Now, I will also argue that there is a lot of queerness in the terms of sexuality, in terms of Oscar not only being adored by women everywhere, being often misgendered because they think she is a very handsome man or a very pretty man, but even then, you have the character of Rosalie, who, such a lesbian. I'm sorry, I get that she marries Bernard, but her first love is Oscar and Oscar alone. And Oscar says if she had been actually born a man, she would have married Rosalie. Now, the reason why this is all, like, very iffy is because Oscar strictly gets offended by the fact that she is called a lesbian lover of Marie Antoinette. Now, before being offended that she was called a lesbian lover of Marie Antoinette, what did she do? She gave Rosalie a portrait of herself. She goes on to kiss women at a ball. Now, that is to be like, haha, I'm a harlot, I am a coquette, I am a coquette, I am, like, not marriage material in any form or fashion, to try and break an engagement, to be like, I am all of these things, you don't want to be seen with me, and the man who tries to marry her is like, I don't care, I love you either way, and she gets pissed off. But you still did all that and then got offended to be called a lesbian. Now, Oscar ends up marrying her best friend Andre, who is a man, so it is technically a straight romance. But with all of the gender stuff that goes on with Oscar, as well as the definitely romantic love of Rosalie to Oscar, I would argue that this is an incredibly, incredibly queer series. It's not even an argument on the gender side, but in the romance side, I would also argue that it is gay, because I'm almost certain that Rosalie is a lesbian. Now, the reason this is general is, first of all, because of the gender stuff, but also because you can, in fact, argue that it is queer in many more ways than just Oscar's gender and gender roles. This also can be read as a feminist piece, but it is much more a queer piece than it is a feminist piece. This is probably my biggest recommendation of the day, The Rose of Versailles, because this is just a really good series, and I'm glad Mia put me onto this, because oh my god. Next week, we will actually be talking once again about The Rose of Versailles in a video where I reanalyze The Rose of Versailles film, because I have realized all of the things that Mia was saying about the movie and how bad it was were very true. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope you guys get hyped up for that video next week. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I know this video was so much more unhinged compared to the last 2 years. I haven't had the chance to read new queer series in a while, with the exception of Ranma and The Rose of Versailles and The Moon on a Rainy Night, that sort of stuff. Mainly because I have so many fucking series to collect, and it's become an actual fucking problem. And most of the series that I have that could argue to be queer doesn't really have a whole lot of footing, or I've only read the first volume. I try to recommend series that I've either read a lot of, know is a one-shot, or know that is explicitly queer. So, yeah, that is the end of today's video. I know I look like a clown. I know this video is a bit of a mess, but that's what I am. I'm a complete fucking mess. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next week for that Rosa Versailles video. Thank you so much for watching. What are your queer recommendations down in the comments down below? Leave those for me so that I can actually read more gay shit. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.